What's up, everybody? It's your boy Terrence Warren, Cisco Tutor guy, and once again with a video. And one video I did was on wireless, and I wanted to kind of talk about wireless a little bit because I am in the midst of working on my next lab book, and this one is going to consist of security and wireless videos because I am pursuing the wireless certification. First, the CWNA, the CWSP, which is the Certified Wireless Security Professional, and then the CCNA Wireless. I spoke of those wireless powers in my interview with Dewan Lightfoot. Shout out to Dewan Lightfoot and the Lab Everyday community. Shout out to Adrian Brown over at Midlands Technical College, and shout out to Network bruh, and shout out to Network Chuck. So again, I've been ordering some equipment to kind of add to my home lab for wireless. I've ordered a Meraki, security appliance. I've ordered 2 wireless LAN controllers, the WLC 4400 series and a WLC 2100 series, I think. And each came with 3 access points apiece. So, but what I want to go over right now is the standalone wireless access points. And this one here in my hand is the wireless access point 321 Cisco, the WAP 321. And I have a story that goes with it. The significant thing about this wireless access point is when I started my position at this company called Medical Services of America. At the time, each location, they had over 250 locations, and some were on a wireless domain controller or wireless LAN controller, and some were on standalone access points, wireless access points. So the ones that had the standalone wireless access points, they were using the 4410 wireless access points at that time. And if you don't know what those are the older blue and black models. If you go onto Packet Tracer and you look up the wireless access points, it's the ones that are blue and black. It got Linksys on them, and they have the antennas on one corner of the device. So at the time, that was the wireless access points that these companies were using in their locations, the ones that weren't on the LAN controller. So as I got into this position about a year or so in, I noticed that we started to have a lot of wireless issues with these access points, and mostly because they were older, they were outdated, they were end of life, and Cisco wouldn't offer any support for them. So what I did was I found one of these 321s in the company's warehouse, or it could have been on one of their locations that closed down. But either way, I found one of these, and I took it home, and I started messing around with it. I plugged it up, and I looked up some videos on how to configure it, and I played around with it for a couple of weeks. And until I got so, good at how to configure this, So I learned how to configure it. And then I ordered another one off eBay, right, to add to my home lab. So with it being in my home lab for a few months, I learned even more on how to troubleshoot it. Whenever it wasn't connecting or whenever there were any issues, I learned how to troubleshoot it, and I only had one in my home lab, and I used it for my home network. So when I felt that I was pretty efficient at configuring these 321 access points, I went to the supervisor and I made a suggestion. Because the 4410s were outdated and were causing a lot of issues and giving us a lot of problems, I recommended that we began to replace all the 4410s on location with the 321s. So on my recommendation, he did this. He was like, okay. And they started ordering them. And once we got them, we started replacing the 4410s with the 321s. So that's my story on how I got so efficient on the 321 wireless access point. So what I'm about to do now is we're going to get into a little lab. I'm going to do a lab on how to configure this. This won't be a packet tracer lab because I noticed the packet tracer labs don't do the configuration too well. You know, there's only so much you can do on packet tracer with wireless. That's probably why there's not a lot of wireless packet tracer labs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into how to configure this 321 wireless access point standalone. All right. So that's what we're going to do in a minute. We're going to get into this configuration. All right. All right, everybody. We're going to get into configuring this access point, this wireless access point 321. First off, you're going to need external power. Even though this is a PoE access point, and what that means is power over Ethernet. If you were plugging it to the switch, you'd plug an Ethernet cable here and the other one into any port on a PoE switch, and that would provide the power to this access point. But until you do that, while you're configuring it, you still need to pull power from somewhere, because you can't do it like I'm not at the switch. So we have the power cable, and I'm going to plug it up to provide power while I configure it. So plug it up, and turn it on. We got the green light. The other thing, although we have power, remember this access point, let's say it could have come off a production environment, it could have come from a warehouse. So right now we don't know what type of configuration could still be on it, password or whatever. So what you want to do is, on the back there's a tiny hole that says reset. So what we're going to want to do is reset the access point to its factory default, so that way it'll go back to its factory IP address, the default. So what you want to do is you want to push the reset button until the power light turns red. That might take a minute, so it goes out. And when it comes back on, it should be red or orange. Alright, so we got the red light, and then it goes back to green. That's the indicator letting us know that the access point has been reset. So now I'm going to plug up this Ethernet cable to the access point, and the other one is going to go to the Ethernet port on my laptop. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to configure the IP address on the laptop to be on the same network as the access point. So I'm going to close this and
that. I'm going to close this. Alright, so we go to the local area connection. I'm going to go to properties. Go to IPv4. And here we're going to give the laptop an IP address that's in the same network as the access point. And by default, once you reset the access point, the default IP address is the 192.168.0.1. Typically, we don't have to put anything here. I just do. Let's see, I'm gonna wait. So now that we got that in there, we should be able to browse to the default IP address and get the access point. So let's try it. You want to use this as a browser? HTTP is I could be wrong. What was it? Maybe it was this. Let me try. Alright, so after a little bit of trial and error, I actually had that IP address wrong. Had to look it up because it's been a while since I did these. So anyway, the default IP address for a reset access point was 192.168.1.245. So we plug that address into our URL browser, and we get this. So we're going to go ahead and proceed. And if you see now, I'm at the splash page for the access point of the 321. Now also, since we reset this to factory default, the credentials to get in is Cisco. It's either admin or Cisco. So we're going to try Cisco first. And that was it. So now we're inside the access point. Alright. So we got a setup wizard that you could use or not. So I'm going to go ahead and run through this wizard, this setup wizard. So we see where we have our IP address, and what we're going to do is statically assign it an IP address on the network that we want to put it on. Alright, so I'm going to change it to 192.168.2.230. Alright. 8. We're going to go to next. And this is not a cluster because this is just one access point, so it's a standalone. So we're going to configure it as a standalone. And so we're going to leave it where it is and just go to next. Now this is important because if you don't have the right time, that could cause problems with the access point. Or we could just set it to take the time from the router using the NTP protocol. So I'm going to go to next. And this is where we're going to set the password to get into the access point. Now this ain't the password to get on to the access point when we're surfing the net. This is the password that you want to get into the access point when we get to the splash page. So instead of it being Cisco, we're going to change it to something else. But for training purposes, we're gonna make it okay, we gotta make it long, so I'm gonna make it let's see, Black Rose 2012. And that's a strong password because the longer it is, the harder it is to break. Alright. So now that we got our password in, we got a good strong password, we're going to go to next. And this is where we decide what the name of the access point will be, the SSID. So instead of calling it Cisco B, we're going to definitely change that to Cisco Tutor Net. Alright. Now this is the password that's going to be for getting on it. And because, alright, we're going to pick the WPA2 using AES because it's a better encryption than WEP. Alright. You know what? I think I made that last password too long. I should have made this password. Let's see. Rose 2012. Good strong password. Now I'm going to go back and change this other password to something else. I'm going to call this one Okay. Square brain 036. Oh, but it's too weak. Yeah, I'm gonna make this password something else. So let's see. To get into this, the administrative password, I'm gonna make it oh well, I'm gonna change it to back to what it was. Let's go to next. Next. And we don't want this to show as clear as text, so I'm going to uncheck that. Next. We don't need it to be on a VLAN, so we're going to go to next. Now, here I can create a guest network if I want. So if I want to create a guest network, I can hit this and it'll create an additional network, and I can call this, let's see, instead of let's see, Cisco Tutor guest, or so that's my guest network. All right. Now I can choose to have this an open network with no password, or I can give it a password also. But I don't really want a guest network, so we're going to go back and just say no. And go to next. Now once I hit submit, it's going to go ahead and configure this access point. So I'm going to hit next. Alright. So now I'm going to go back to my settings. I'm going to go and change my laptop IP address back to what it was. And all I need to do is just go here. Make sure it took. There we go. Go back. So now, if I scroll, I should be able to browse to the IP address that I gave the access point and see it. So I'm gonna do that. If I can remember what the IP address was. Yes. Alright, so we change it to, no, that's not what we change it to. .192.168.2.2.30. Let's just give it a minute. Let me try that again. Alright, so now the access point isn't plugged into a switch still, but we should still be able to see the broadcast. Now once I plug it up into a switch, we should be able to browse to it with it to its new IP address. But I'm going to show you this. If we go down to where my settings are and we go to Wi-Fi and scan for Wi-Fi networks, we can now see Cisco TutorNet is broadcasting. So once I plug this up into a switch, you can type in the IP address that we assigned to AP, and you should be able to browse to the administrative settings, and you should get that splash page that we got initially, and you should be able to go into it and change your settings and change whatever. Now again, this was a standalone access point, 321. So if you look at it here, we have all three lights. We have the light that shows that it's plugged up to the laptop. We have the light showing that it is broadcasting, and we have the power light. So we have all three lights. So that lets us know that the access point is configured and is working. So that was just a quick, I hope it was a quick, video lab on how to configure the access point, a 321 Cisco wireless access point. So again, this is Cisco Tutor Guy. I want to do more labs on wireless and do more things on wireless as I pursue that certification. I share with you what I know. So just look for more wireless videos, maybe some packet tracer labs I'm working on. And again, like I said, I'm working on my new lab book, which will consist of security and wireless labs. So this has been a quick video. This is Cisco Tutor Guy, Terrence Warren, CCNP, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.